I babysat my grandkids every weekend so they could work overtime, only to find out they were vacationing without telling me. When I confronted my daughter-in-law, she rolled her eyes and said, "You're just free childcare. Be grateful you're useful again." My son said nothing, just looked away. That night, I packed every toy, every crib, and left the monitor on her porch. What happened after left her speechless. I'm a 63-year-old woman living in Charleston, South Carolina. My husband died when I was 43. Pancreatic cancer. It took him fast. I had to raise 3 boys on my own. I worked as a high school secretary and cleaned houses on weekends. I didn't date, didn't travel, barely slept. Just worked, raised my boys, and tried to keep my head above water. My youngest, Mike, was always the quiet one. I don't mean shy, just quiet. Thoughtful. Didn't cause trouble. I thought I had raised him right. He met Lacey 5 years ago. They got married after a year of dating. She was loud, opinionated, always posting photos of everything she ate. She worked in marketing, or social media, something like that. I never really understood what she did for work. She said a lot of buzzwords and wore fake eyelashes to family barbecues. After they had their second child, that's when it started. Little requests. "Hey Mom, any chance you could watch Jack on Saturday? We both have to work." Of course. I love my grandkids. Then it became Sunday too. Then whole weekends. They told me they were working overtime. Mike said his job was cutting hours during the week, and they were picking up extra shifts on weekends to make ends meet. I believed them. Why wouldn't I? I rearranged my life around them. I stopped volunteering at church. I didn't go to my book club anymore. I even skipped a reunion with old coworkers because they really needed me that weekend. Every time I started to feel a little tired or frustrated, I reminded myself they were working hard. Doing their best. That I was helping keep their little family afloat. And then, 3 weeks ago, everything changed. My old friend Marcy called me out of the blue. "You'll never believe who I saw at the Atlanta airport," she said, laughing. "Who?" "You're Mike and that wife of his." They were wearing flip-flops and dragging suitcases. Looked like they were headed to a beach. I froze. "You're sure it was them?" "Positive." I even waved. Lacey pretended not to see me. They were supposed to be working that weekend. They dropped the boys off Friday night and said they had to be in the office for a special weekend inventory project. Turns out that inventory was a trip to Cabo. I didn't say anything at first. I wanted to see if they'd lie to my face. That Saturday, Lacey came in wearing sunglasses and lip gloss. No eye contact. She dropped the boys off and muttered, "We'll be late tonight." I looked her in the eye and said, "How was Cabo?" She froze for a second. Then she smirked. "Oh. I guess someone told you." I didn't respond. She laughed, like I was being ridiculous. "Honestly, you should be happy. You're finally useful again. You act like we're asking for your kidney." I stared at her. "You lied to me," I said. Mike was standing behind her, staring at the ground. "Mike?" I said. He didn't say a word. Just shifted his weight and looked down. I wasn't expecting fireworks. I just wanted some truth. Maybe a little shame. But there was nothing. No apology. No regret. Just silence. So I smiled, took the diaper bag, and told them to enjoy their day. But that night, after the boys went to sleep, I packed every toy, every blanket, every bib, every book. I took apart the crib, loaded it in my car. I grabbed the wipes warmer Lacey insisted I needed but never offered to pay for. The baby monitor. The booster seat. The diaper genie. I loaded every single thing into my trunk. I wrote a note and taped it to the monitor box. "You lied to me. You used me. I'm not your nanny. I'm your mother. And I deserve respect. Find someone else." I drove to their house. It was late. Quiet. Porch light on. I stacked everything neatly. Took pictures. Just in case. And I left. I turned my phone off for the whole next day. I needed a break. I slept in. Took a walk. Sat on the porch with a book I hadn't touched in months. When I turned my phone back on around dinner time, I had 14 missed calls, 27 text messages, 1 screaming voicemail from Lacey. Apparently, I ruined their plans. She said I abandoned my grandsons. Said I was overreacting, and that free childcare doesn't get to make demands. Said I should be grateful they even trusted me. Mike sent a one-line text, "Can we talk?" No apology. No explanation. Just that. I didn't reply. That week, they tried everything. Guilt. Fake apologies. Even brought the boys to my door once and said they just needed to run to the store. I didn't answer the door. Then came the real retaliation. Lacey posted on Facebook that some people don't deserve grandparent privileges if they're going to weaponize love. She made it public. Put my full name in the comments. Tagged me. Old church friends started messaging me, asking what was going on. A few hinted I should forgive and move on for the kids. But the thing is, I was thinking of the kids. I was always thinking of them. It was their parents who were not. And Lacey? She wasn't done. She wanted payback. And what she did next took things to a level I never saw coming. I didn't respond to any of the messages. For a few days, things were quiet. I thought maybe they got the message. I was wrong. The following Thursday, I got a call from Jack's preschool. The director asked if I had a moment. She sounded uncomfortable. "We had a situation," she said. "Lacey listed you as an emergency contact. When Jack got a fever today and no one answered, we called you. Lacey just showed up, yelling at staff and saying you were banned from picking him up. In front of the kids." It got tense. I was stunned. I had never even tried to pick Jack up without being asked. And they were the ones who put me on the emergency list. I apologized to the director and hung up. I felt like I was being erased. Turned into some villain for standing up for myself. The next day, my friend Marcy sent me a screenshot from a neighborhood moms group online. Someone, clearly Lacey, had posted anonymously about a retired grandma who abandoned her grandkids after being asked to help out too often. The comments were brutal. "She sounds selfish. Some people forget what family means. If you don't want to help, don't act like you love them." I didn't respond. I didn't need to defend myself to strangers. But the part that really pushed me over? My son stopped talking to me completely. He didn't come by. Didn't call. Nothing. Then, 2 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. Certified. It was from an attorney. Lacey and Mike were formally requesting I either resume regular weekend childcare or contribute $400 a month to help cover the cost of a new sitter. They claimed I had made an implied agreement to support them based on established behavior. I thought it was a joke at first. But it wasn't. They were actually trying to shake me down. Legally. I drove straight to my friend Elaine's house. Her daughter's a lawyer. I showed her the letter. She read it, looked up, and said, "They have no case. This is intimidation. Nothing more." Still, I was shaking. My own son had signed it. That night, I cried harder than I have in years. Not because I was scared, but because I finally saw Mike for who he'd become. Lacey, I expected this from. She's selfish. Entitled. Manipulative. But Mike? He let it happen. He signed that letter. He let the mother who raised him alone after his father died become the enemy. For free babysitting. For convenience. I decided then I was done waiting for him to be decent. So I started digging. Lacey liked to show off. She posted everything online. Trips. Clothes. Fancy dinners. I started collecting screenshots. Dates. Captions. Geotags. Then I called someone I hadn't spoken to in years, Mike's old friend, Jason. They drifted apart after the wedding. Jason always said Lacey gave him bad vibes. We met for coffee. He told me something that made my stomach turn. Apparently, Lacey had bragged to Jason's wife that she never used her vacation days. Because she always told work she was at home with the kids, while actually flying off with Mike on trips, and told her boss she had a live-in caregiver, me, who refused to take payment. So her boss thought I was a full-time nanny. Unpaid. I asked Jason if he'd be willing to talk to someone about that. He said yes. Because here's what Lacey didn't know, her company just went through a big audit and policy cleanup. If I played this right, I wouldn't have to sue or scream. I just needed the right person to hear the truth. I drafted a letter. I included all the screenshots, dates, and quotes. I didn't lie. I didn't exaggerate. I just told the truth. I mailed it to the corporate office of her company, marked attention, HR department. And I waited. 2 weeks later, everything exploded. I didn't expect anything fast. Big companies move slow. But not this time. 2 weeks after I sent that letter, I got a phone call. It was a woman named Karen, yes, really, from Lacey's HR department. She asked if I was willing to confirm some information about Lacey's use of informal caregiving and family leave claims. I said I was. But I wanted the call documented. She agreed. I gave them exact dates, pulled from my journal and calendar. Times I watched the kids. Times they claimed to be working. Times they were actually out of state, even out of the country. I heard typing on the other end. Karen thanked me, said that was all she needed for now. She sounded, not surprised. Just cold. Professional. I didn't tell anyone. I wanted to see what would happen. 3 days later, I found out from Marcy, again, that Lacey's company had put her on administrative leave pending investigation. Her Instagram went quiet. Her daily outfits and food selfies stopped. Then Mike showed up. I hadn't seen him in over a month. He just stood on my porch, no warning. Holding a bag of takeout from that noodle place we used to like. I didn't open the door. He knocked again. "Mom," he said. "Can we talk?" I opened it, but didn't invite him in. I just stood there. Tired. Numb. He handed me the food like a peace offering. "It's from that place on Meeting Street." I didn't take it. "You sent a letter to her job," he said. I didn't answer. She could lose everything. I looked him in the eye. "So could I, Mike. And I already lost you." He didn't say anything. Just stared down at his hands. "She's pregnant again," he said. I blinked. "Are you serious?" He nodded. "We were going to tell you, before. Before all this." I almost laughed. Another baby. Another excuse. "I'm sorry," he said. It was the first time I'd heard him say those words since this all started. But it didn't hit right. It felt rehearsed. "What are you sorry for?" I asked. He looked up, confused. "For everything," he said. "No. Be specific." He didn't answer. I shut the door. 10 minutes later, Lacey called. Left a voicemail full of fake sweetness. "Hi. Just wanted to clear the air. Things got blown out of proportion. Let's move forward for the kids' sake, okay?" I didn't respond. I kept quiet, but I kept watching. 2 weeks after the HR call, her Instagram came back online. But it was different. She posted a black square. The caption was about private struggles and career changes. All comments turned off. Then, the final twist dropped. Marcy again. God bless that woman. She texted me a screenshot from the local business journal. Headline, "Local marketing exec let go amid parental leave investigation." It didn't say her name, but the company was hers. The timing was perfect. I didn't celebrate. I just felt tired. But the story wasn't done. Because a week later, I got a knock at my door. Child Protective Services. A woman in a gray blazer, polite but firm. She said she was following up on an anonymous report about elder neglect and unsafe care environments related to my time watching my grandsons. I laughed. I actually laughed in her face. I couldn't help it. She didn't laugh. I let her in. Showed her everything. Pictures of the crib setup. Medical records. Letters from the preschool. Notes from their pediatrician. Even a thank you card Lacey had written me back in year 1 when she still pretended to like me. The CPS worker apologized. Said it was clear the report was baseless. I nodded. But now I knew how far they were willing to go. They lost free childcare. She lost her job. And now they were trying to destroy me in return. That's when I decided to stop playing defense. It was time to go on the offense. After CPS left and cleared me, I sat at my kitchen table for hours. Staring at nothing. Thinking. They tried to ruin me. They lied, used me, smeared my name, dragged my reputation through the dirt, got me investigated, and for what? Free babysitting? A weekend vacation? No. This was bigger. This was entitlement. Control. They thought I would fold. That I'd back down because I was old, alone, and just the grandma. They forgot who raised Mike alone after burying her husband. Who worked 2 jobs for 20 years. Who didn't take crap from anybody, not even life. So I decided I wasn't just going to walk away. I was going to make them feel what they made me feel. Not with yelling. Not with public fights. I'd take everything they counted on. The first thing I did was visit a lawyer, someone Elaine's daughter referred me to. I wasn't going to sue for money. I didn't want that. What I wanted was control over my time with my grandkids, and to protect myself from more abuse. We filed for grandparent visitation rights under South Carolina law. It's not always easy to win, but with all the text messages, photos, gifts, and witness statements, the lawyer said I had a strong case. More importantly, it would force Mike and Lacey into court. Force them to explain themselves under oath. They didn't expect it. When they were served the paperwork, I got a nasty text from Mike. "Why are you doing this?" I didn't answer. Lacey tried calling. I didn't pick up. They sent a long email saying I was traumatizing the children and dragging the family through the mud. But I wasn't the one who lied, who called CPS, or who sent that garbage lawyer letter asking for money. They did that. The court date came fast. They tried to delay it, but the judge denied the request. In the courtroom, I sat across from them for the first time in months. Mike looked tired. Lacey looked angry. Swollen too, she really was pregnant. Their lawyer tried to spin the whole thing like I was an overbearing grandma who just couldn't let go. Then my lawyer pulled out the printouts. Screenshots of Lacey posting in mom groups while supposedly working overtime. Photos of the kids at my house with time-stamped metadata showing weekends they claimed to be working. My journal entries. My receipts. Witness letters. Even a note Lacey once wrote that said, "We couldn't do this without you, thank you for saving our sanity." They had nothing. The judge ruled in my favor. Not just for visits, but for scheduled, court-enforced weekends where I could see the boys without having to babysit or do anything more than just be their grandma. Mike didn't even look at me as they left the courtroom. But I wasn't done. Next, I filed a formal complaint with the preschool and the church committee where Lacey had tried to damage my reputation. I sent in proof of her anonymous posts, emails, and texts. I explained how she lied to the staff, cursed out a teacher, and weaponized social media against a senior member of the congregation. Both groups released statements weeks later. The preschool banned her from the property. Mike had to do all pickups and drop-offs going forward. And the church? They asked her to step back indefinitely from her volunteer role and removed her from their community page. Publicly. Quietly. Completely. People started reaching out to me again. Apologizing. I didn't hold grudges with them. Most were just misled. But I made sure no one forgot who started it. The final blow came when I mailed a small box to their house. Inside were two things. 1. A printed copy of the CPS visit report clearing me completely. 2. A photo of me holding Jack and Noah at the park, during my first court-ordered visit, with all three of us smiling. On the back of the photo, I wrote, "I may be old, but I'm not weak." Never confuse the two again. Lacey didn't respond. Mike did. 1 week later, he showed up at my door again. Alone. He cried. He said he lost everything. Lacey's parents were furious. Her boss, who used to be a family friend, cut all ties. Her new job search was going nowhere because the HR complaint followed her record. He said he missed me. That he was wrong. I told him he could visit any time. Alone. I told him I loved him, but I wouldn't trust him again until he earned it. He nodded. Said he understood. I haven't seen Lacey since. Jack and Noah come to visit twice a month now. They bring their little backpacks and we bake cookies and go to the farmer's market. I don't babysit. I just love them. Sometimes they ask about Lacey. I keep it neutral. I say, she's resting. They don't need to carry all this yet. But one day, when they're old enough, I'll tell them the truth. Not to make them hate their parents. But to show them that even grandmas have limits. Even love needs boundaries. And sometimes, the people you raised need to be taught the lesson you thought they already knew. Respect. That was my revenge. And it was worth every second.